Hello, and welcome back to Vector's All Things PC-lint Plus YouTube series. Once again, I'm Jacob Colapietro, a field applications engineer here at Vector. As mentioned in the last video, this is the fifth and final part of the series. This part covering PC-lint Plus View is split into two videos, with this being the second. In the last video, we discussed how to set up the PC-lint Plus View server and then integrate PC-lint Plus View with an already existing PC-lint Plus setup. So please check out that video if you'd like to know more about that topic and to get a little bit more context for this video. In this video, we're going to walk through the PC-lint Plus View dashboard and show what you can expect to see there once results are pushed to the server. So let's get started. So I again wanted to give a little bit of background about PC-lint Plus View for those of you who are just watching this video and not the previous one. We spoke last video about some of the challenges with PC-lint Plus, and they mostly have to do with the output data from PC-lint Plus being quite separated. So the main challenge that we found was how do you get all of that data from PC-lint Plus under one roof? And this includes the standard PC-lint Plus findings, coding standards, metrics reports. How can you even generate reports and findings trends and breakdowns? Well, what we found with traditional PC-lint Plus setups from the command line is that this is very difficult to do. And this is where PC-lint Plus View comes in. In the simplest terms, PC-lint Plus View is a GUI that displays PC-lint Plus findings and coding standards data in a very readable and easy to digest format. This feature is new as of PC-lint Plus's 2025 releases. So you need a PC-lint Plus 2025 download and license to access it. However, that's all. There's no additional cost on top of your already existing license. So I said this in the previous part, but I'd like to reiterate this. I personally think that PC-lint Plus View is a fantastic tool. It really revolutionizes the way PC-lint Plus's output is displayed in a much better format. It also provides a bunch of additional data and even allows for things like a findings review. I really think that if you have access to PC-lint Plus View, that you should be using it, and you are really missing out if you aren't. As with last time, this slide just shows a little bit more of what PC-lint Plus View can show to you. As you can see in the image below, there are standards, compliance graphs, and findings, breakdowns, and trends. With PC-lint Plus View, you can also very easily generate standards reports and display your metrics. So it's a very powerful and useful tool. And as we saw last time, it can also very easily fit into your already existing PC-lint Plus setup. And this is just the tip of the iceberg, this image and the one on the previous slide. In this video, we're going to pick up where we left off last time and show you everything that PC-lint Plus View has to offer with a walkthrough of the dashboard once findings are sent to the server. So let's get right into that. So last video, we left off by generating and sending our PC-lint Plus findings to the PC-lint Plus View server. So as with last time, we ended up at this projects tab. And all we did to get here was go to our PC-lint Plus View server and then access the projects tab. So you can see we have our project here, and it was successfully built. So what do we need to do to access our findings for the first time? All we need to do is click on the project name. And then for the first time, it's going to bring us to our fully realized PC-lint Plus View dashboard with findings and results. So at a first glance, it may be a little bit overwhelming since there's a lot of data here to take in all at once, but it's actually really quite simple. So this first page is our findings page. And here, PC-lint Plus View is going to display every PC-lint Plus finding that it got from our analysis, whether that's a coding standard violation or a normal PC-lint Plus View message. All of those are going to be displayed here on the right. On the left side here, you can see we have our different builds. So we have versions 1, 2, 3, and 4, and the current version. I'll switch to the current version. But here is a different way you can go through and check at how many findings have progressed throughout the builds. And, check on previous builds to see, how you might be trending. There'll be more on that later in the dashboard section where we'll see more about the data and how it'll show you how PC-lint Plus findings have evolved throughout your builds as well. Down below, we have this artifacts menu. And you can see we have a few things here. It has the name of our project, and then there's a menu below that with a source code and external files. So right now we're viewing the findings for our entire project. If we click on the source code here, you'll see the number of findings change because we're only viewing the findings for our source code. There's also this external files drop down here. This is anything external to your PC-lint Plus project. So this is like standard headers from the C or C++ libraries, or just anything external to your actual source code from your project. So this artifacts menu on the left side is a good way to change the scope of the amount of findings that you're getting on the right side here. So we can go source code or external files, but we can drill down even further. We can go on a file by file basis. So right here, there's 8 files in my source code. And let's say we want to see the findings only for database.cpp. Well, if we click on that, we'll only see the findings for database.cpp. But let's say we want to go even further. We can drop down this menu and it'll show us every function within database.cpp. So let's say I want to see the findings only for this delete record function. I just click on that and it'll show me only the findings for the delete record function in database.cpp within our source code. So again, this artifacts menu on the left is a great way to change the scope. Let's say you have a huge project with 10 to 15,000 findings, something really big. This is a good way to keep the scope small and keep your work efficient and not overwhelm yourself with too many findings. So I'm just going to go back to the whole project. So moving on, this middle column is, as it says here at the top, it's just a way to filter all of these findings, something different than going by source code or changing the scope. So there are a bunch of different ways to filter. There's a bunch of different check marks here. You can sort by standards. You can sort by PC-lint Plus category. And it's really easy to filter the findings to see exactly what you want to see. So say I wanted to see only MISRA C++ 2023 violations that are warnings. So I'll go here. I clicked on the MISRA C++ 2023, go through, click on warnings, and there. We only see the MISRA C++ 2023 violations that are warnings. So you can do this type of thing in your project as well. You can really filter this any way you want to show you exactly what you want to see. So as we've already been looking at, the right portion of the screen is fully reserved for the findings. As I mentioned previously in the series, each finding has a unique numerical ID. And that's displayed on the left here of each finding. So this is helpful for suppressions if you're interested in doing that, as we mentioned in the additional options video previously in the series. So from left to right on each finding, you'll see the numerical ID, the rule that's been violated, the number of occurrences, whether this finding is new or fixed. And this is something that you would change within the review, which we'll talk about in a little bit. The standard, if any, that's been violated, and the PC-lint Plus category for that message. Also on the left side of each finding, you'll see a little drop-down menu. That's this little arrow here. So you click on that arrow, and it will reveal the file, function, and line number of each occurrence of that violation. So it makes it very easy to go through and just kind of see, what files and functions have a lot of findings, what lines those are on. So let's see, let's look at one with a lot. So there's 188 here. So if we click on this drop-down menu, you'll see that it lists each file. If you just open it, it'll tell you the line number for each one in that file. So it's a very good way to quickly kind of look at, where exactly these rule violations are occurring. So all of these findings can also be exported to a CSV very simply. All you need to do is click this Export CSV button above, and that'll just download a CSV file to your machine. And this is what that'll look like. It just basically is the same thing as the findings on PC-lint Plus View, just in a CSV format that can be consumed by Excel. So going back to the server, the last part of the findings page that I want to show is the review. I've mentioned a couple times now that you could do a code review with PC-lint Plus View. So in order to access it, all you need to do is click the Start Review button. And this will open a menu that you can use to go finding by finding and show you a description, the location, the standards, and other information about each of the findings. So in the tabs below, you'll see that view displays the rule that's been violated, gives you an even better description of it below so you can have more of an idea of what's going on. It'll even give you the PC-lint Plus category. And here you can also go through and see each standard violation. It'll give you a good description of it and just so you have more idea of what's going on, more context. You can also go through the history. So if things have changed build by build, if you've fixed this violation before and now it's popping back up, you'll see that here. You can also add comments. So all you need to do is add a new topic. You can provide a comment here. And then on the right side, you can see that PC-lint Plus View will even highlight the specific line for where this finding occurred. It'll tell you the file, function, and give you the exact line highlighted of where it occurred. So that makes it very easy for you to just go into your source code and fix whatever violation may have occurred. So this review is very helpful to resolve your PC-lint Plus violations very quickly and very easily. So this has been the Findings tab. And this, as you expect, shows you the findings from PC-lint Plus and allows you to easily filter and navigate them, as well as review and fix them quickly. So next, we're going to be moving on to this Dashboard tab, where you can see more data and breakdowns of what's going on with your PC-lint Plus build. All right, so moving on to the Dashboard tab. In this tab, you can expect to see a lot more data about your PC-lint Plus analysis. So the left side of this page is the same as the Findings tab with the different versions, as well as the Artifacts dropdown where you can change the scope of the Dashboards tab. That still applies here. So the Dashboard tab shows you a bunch of different metrics that can help you get an understanding of what's really going on with your code from the perspective of PC-lint Plus. So on the left side here, you can see an overall standard compliance graph. This just provides you with a letter grade for your overall standards compliance. So this is all inclusive. So if you're using multiple standards like I am, these are all included within this graph and the grade. So continuing on to the next graph is a findings trend. I mentioned this earlier, but this will show you the changes in the number of findings from version to version of your project. This is useful for knowing if you're introducing more issues than you're fixing from each version of your PC-lint Plus View findings. So the next two graphs show kind of similar things. There's a density of PC-lint Plus findings, as well as a findings breakdown graph. These can be used to let you know the most problematic files. That way you can really hone in on where the issues are. So with each of these graphs, you are also able to click on them and get a closer look. So if you do so, you'll also be able to see a description of what the graph is and what it's telling you and how to read it. And as with the code review, you can leave comments on these if you want. You can also go to all the other graphs from this little menu below here just to quickly check them out in the same type of menu. So the last thing I want to show you in this tab is that you can change what data is actually displayed. So there's this drop-down menu at the top, and you can change what's actually shown. So currently this is set to PC-lint Plus, so this will give us everything from our PC-lint Plus analysis, so our findings and our standards violations. So you can actually click on this menu and sort by specific standards. So if we select this MISRA C++ 2023 rules compliance, we see that the data changes. And there's a few similar and a couple new graphs for us to see here. This top left graph just shows us a percentage of MISRA C++ 2023 rules that we are in compliance with. These other two graphs are kind of the same, that rules trend graph and the density of the findings. These are pretty similar to the graphs from before. But again, if you want to know what they're actually about, just go ahead and click on them and you'll get a description and how to read it as well. This graph in the bottom right here is a little bit quirky. It's a chart to help discern which files have a high density of MISRA C++ 2023 non-compliant rules per its lines of code. So the x-axis is the number of the lines of code, and the Y is the non-compliant rule standard density, which is basically the number of violations per 1,000 lines of code. So this graph is kind of better served with a bigger code base, as the description here will tell you. The code base that I'm using for this example is rather small, so this doesn't give you a real good picture on what's actually going on with the MISRA C++ compliance. All right, so just to summarize, the dashboard tab is a great place to see a breakdown of all your findings. It really helps you come to conclusions about where your efforts should be spent with fixing your violations. It's also nice just to be able to see this data. It gives you a better idea of what's really going on with your code from a PC-lint Plus perspective, as I said. So that's been the dashboard tab. The next thing we're going to look at are the highlights and the measures tabs. So the next two tabs are the highlights tab and the measures tab. So we're going to start with the highlights tab. So the highlights tab is a quick and easy way to see real statistics and numbers about your PC-lint Plus findings. So as always, you can change the scope using the artifacts tab here on the left. So in the highlights tab, you can also use this drop-down menu up above to change what's actually displayed here. So as you can see, we're currently displaying the number of findings per file. And as you can see, this just tells us, the name of the file, the compliant rules ratio, the number of findings, whether those findings are fatal, errors, warnings, info, notes, etc. So as I just said, you can use this drop-down menu to change what statistics are actually shown. So there's multiple options in this drop-down menu. So we're currently doing findings per file. We can do findings per function, which is the same thing that we were just kind of showing. It's just on a function by function basis instead of a file by file basis. You can also look at the source files findings and compliance. This just basically displays the source file and the number of findings and what coding standards those are compliant with. So this is a similar chart, but just completely in terms of coding standards. And the question marks here, just as a note, just mean that that standard wasn't checked in your PC-lint Plus setup. So don't be alarmed if there's question marks in your graph. You can also check metrics here. So the metrics include things like cyclomatic complexity, number of called functions, the number of statements, and many more things. So this highlights tab is a great way to quickly get some real numbers and statistics about your PC-lint Plus findings. And it gives you a much better idea of where you currently stand with your project. So next we're going to move on to the measures tab. The measures tab is another great way to get even more information in a similar regard as the highlights tab. So there are plenty of measures that are checked within your code. You can see at the top of this list that we have 90 measures that you can look at on a project-wide scope. So there's a bunch of different things in here. The artifacts menu I find especially useful for the measures tab. I haven't mentioned this previously, but with your PC-lint Plus setup, if you generate a metrics report using the metrics option, you can generate that in a JSON format. And if you group it with the other server data JSON files, those metrics get pushed to PC-lint Plus View. And you're able to see those here in this measures tab. So for example, the Halstead metrics that are generated with a metrics report are a file or function level metric. So if you change the scope to a file name or a function name, you'll see that the measures actually change. So now we have only 87 measures for this specific file. Let's go to database.cpp, see if we have any more measures. So nothing different, still 87 measures. But if we type in here the name Halstead, you'll see that the Halstead metrics that are generated with our metrics report show up here in this menu. So I find the artifacts tab, this menu, very useful for the measures here. So you can also very easily filter all of these measures using this menu on the left, as I just kind of showed by searching for the Halstead metrics. So as with the highlights tab, the measures tab is another great way to get more numbers and statistics about your code base. So just be sure to check out these two tabs in your setup to see a bunch of different useful information in there. So the next and last tab we're going to look at is the Documents tab. All right, so this last tab is the Documents tab. So the Documents tab is a place where you can create a coding compliance report. So as you can see here, there's this template dropdown. All you need to do here is select this coding rules compliance report, make sure it's set to a PDF, and then hit create report. There's also this exports tab where you can export your PC-lint Plus findings into various formats. All you need to do is use the drop-down menu here. You can see there is an Excel format, and then there is JSON files in serif format. And all the same thing. All you have to do is select create export. As for the report, the code compliance report is exactly what it sounds like. So I have it open here. So it takes that letter grade chart of your coding standard compliance from the dashboard tab that we saw previously and puts it in here. And below this, it gives you some of your coding standard statistics, which includes your compliant rules, violated rules, and just your overall PC-lint Plus findings. And then below that, you'll find a chart that breaks down the findings with the ID number, the rule, the number of occurrences, and the severity. So this single document really gives you a succinct summary of everything that PC-lint Plus View has shown you. So I know that was quick and short, but that's really all the Documents tab is. It's just a quick way to create a report. And with that, that's been PC-lint Plus View. So as mentioned before, PC-lint Plus View really allows you to get all of that data from PC-lint under one roof in a really easy to use GUI. It has tons to offer and can really help you efficiently deal with any PC-lint Plus findings or coding standards violations that you may find. And as I said before, if you have access to PC-lint Plus View, I really think you should consider giving it a try because it really can revolutionize the way that you work with PC-lint Plus. And that concludes not only this part about PC-lint Plus View, but also the All Things PC-lint Plus YouTube series. Today, we did a walkthrough of the PC-lint Plus View dashboard and showed everything it had to offer. From the Findings tab, where you can see and store all of your PC-lint Plus findings, and even do a findings review where you can go through the code and actually see where your findings are. To the Dashboard tab, where you can see graphs, breakdowns, and trends of all of your PC-lint Plus findings. To the Highlights and Measures tabs, where we saw real statistics giving us actual numbers and data about all of our PC-lint Plus findings. Lastly, we saw the Documents tab, where we can create a simple and succinct summary report of all of that data. Everything is under one roof with PC-lint Plus View. Be sure to go out and give View a try. Please be sure to also check out the rest of the All Things PC-lint Plus YouTube series, where we covered a bunch of different topics about PC-lint Plus. We also started from almost nothing to building out a whole project where we covered multiple topics like creating a compiler configuration, a project configuration, creating an options file, and even doing some IDE integrations, all with PC-lint Plus. There's a good amount of information in this series, so go check it out if you're interested. I want to thank you once again for watching this series. I hope some of you out there can now call yourselves PC-lint Plus Masters. Thanks again, and have a good one.